Well, I just saw Five Nights at Freddy's 2 and it wasn't great. The story was messy, the characters were stupid, and the horror left a lot to be desired. But this is also the FNAF 2 movie. I really wasn't expecting much, and honestly, it's not that far off from the first movie. Now, yes, I will admit, I don't think this movie is as good as the first one, but before I get into the negatives, I'm gonna talk about the things I liked. First off, the movie looks great. All the animatronics and suit designs look amazing. Outside of like 1 or 2 moments where Mangle is on Vanessa's car and the car is moving, and also some certain parts with the puppet, but we'll get to that later. There's also a good amount of fan service in this movie, just like the first one, and just like that movie, I don't really mind it. It wasn't in my face, and also this isn't some big movie franchise that's trying to shill out to the fans and prioritize nostalgia over the actual story. This is the FNAF 2 movie. It's a sequel to a video game adaptation that's main purpose was fan service. Nobody watched this movie because they were dying to see what would happen to Mike and Abby. I feel like I need to say this because I am now going to talk about the negatives of the movie. And there are a lot more negatives than positives. Just know that despite these negatives, I have different expectations for this movie compared to, say, Peacemaker. Alright, first off, the horror definitely could have been better. Now, I can't really call this a negative because my main problem is that there are way too many jump scares. And the FNAF franchise's main thing is jump scares. Good evening. But there are so many that it makes what is already a pretty easy to predict horror trope even easier to predict. And I definitely felt a fatigue towards the end of the movie. Also, the scariest thing about these jump scares is the fact that there's a loud sound playing. And that's mainly due to the fact that I saw this in a cinema. If I watched this at home, this wouldn't be scary. Plus, there are a few times where the movie didn't try to rely on jump scares, and it was so much better. For example, that opening scene with Spring Bonnie was so eerie, and it didn't use a single jump scare. Speaking of that opening scene, whilst I loved the setting of the pizzeria, the scene lets you know immediately that everyone in this movie is gonna be stupid. When Charlotte sees Afton lure a kid and starts begging adults for help, all of them shrug off this child. One of them even says, "Scram, kid, the adults are talking." What the hell? Abby's teacher is also stupid and a jackass and deserved to get his head crushed. There were kids in my cinema. The story is also very messy, especially towards the end. The puppet not being mad at William Afton, the guy who killed her, is a very weird choice, especially compared to the game, where the puppet's main motive is to stop Afton and help his victims. In this, the puppet's more mad at parents for being stupid than Afton for killing her, which is already pretty dumb. But also, Afton is a parent, and he killed you. So that's like double the reason to be mad at this guy. Another interesting choice is that the puppet can now control people. And oof, it looks pretty bad. For most of the movie, they do a good job of hiding this weird human puppet design. But that part with the puppet controlling Abby had me giggling. It really looks rough. I thought they were going to pull a scooping room situation and the puppet was actually crawling into the people to control them, but nope, she just possesses people, makes them look like the puppet, but with a wig on and clothes. It's just a shame we didn't get to see more of the real puppet because that design is really good. Another interesting choice is the addition of another Mike. Enter Michael Afton, who in the games is the same guy as Mike Schmidt, and also is trying to stop his dad, William Afton. But in the movie, he's completely separate to this guy. He's evil, and is just kind of pointless. Maybe he'll have more to do in the next movie, but his inclusion here just makes things more confusing. He's barely in the movie, and the only thing he does is get those news people to wake up the puppet. And there was definitely ways to write around that. Also, Mike's evil plan to use the puppet makes no sense. He says he wants to continue his dad's legacy by freeing the puppet and letting her kill a bunch of people. But William Afton's whole thing is killing kids in the back rooms of pizzerias. And in this world, for some reason, the puppet's thing is killing adults, wherever they happen to be. I doubt if the plan worked, people would have been like, "Oh my god, this mass murdering of adults all over this town is just like that time a group of kids died at a pizzeria." I guess you could just say this Michael guy is just crazy, But come on, that's pretty lazy. And before I get attacked by the Freddy stans in the comments, I'm not saying the people who worked on this movie didn't care, because like I said, the animatronics and the pizzeria look amazing. I'm saying that Blumhouse, the studio that made the movie Night Swim, doesn't care. Everything about movie Michael Afton is just so shallow. And with the movie being only 1 hour and 44 minutes long, him and the puppets' twisted interpretations are just such a weird inclusion because they don't appeal to the fans, and especially in Michael's case, aren't given nearly enough screen time to justify these changes. As far as the old characters go, I'd say the only interesting one is Vanessa. OG Mike and Abby are just the same from the first movie. But Vanessa spends the whole movie going through this arc where she's got to prove to herself that she's not like her dad, and choose Mike and Abby as her new family. And then at the end of the movie, after defeating the bad guys and siding with her new family, Mike tells her to stay away from them.
Go.
You don't care about...
Go.
I was asking about Minnesota, though.
Go away.
Dude, what's going on?
Talk about a tone issue. So yeah, that's the FNAF 2 movie. It's not as good as the first one, but I didn't expect it to be. 5 out of 10. I should probably rate it lower, but they did rip off Balloon Boy's head, and whoever was voicing Toy Bonnie was phenomenal. Those 2 lines of dialogue were absolutely breathtaking. What an icon. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, then why not like and subscribe? It really helps me out. Also, comment down below who you're more excited to see in the next FNAF movie, Mike Schmidt or Springtrap. Again, thanks for watching.